Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to another edition of Nerds on Culture with Stormy B Man, Andrew Titan. This is number 14 in the series, and this is number 3, part 3 in our series on Chuck Norris. That's right, everybody. If you've been sticking around the past couple of weeks, we started off with Chuck Norris, the Karate Man. Then part 2, we did Chuck Norris, the veteran / action man. And then tonight we got Chuck Norris in part 3, the Lawman. Yeah, because Chuck always had that angle he'd go back to from time to time where he played a police officer, some kind of sergeant or detective or someone that would bring the law only in the manner of which Chuck Norris could. So we are here to talk about this in our final of the series on Chuck Norris, and allow me to introduce my partner in crime here. We got Drew Titan in the building with us. What's going on, Drew? How you doing this evening, bro?
Salute, brother. Thank you for having me. I'm living, man. And like I said, every time I see that picture of Chuck Norris, man, you don't mess with that guy. You don't mess with that guy, man.
Hey, man, you know what? It's funny. You remember all the jokes, the badass jokes about Chuck Norris and how bad he is and all of that, right? He's the only white dude in the world I don't get mad at when they talk about how badass he is. It's like, because it fits, because it's like kind of over the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's entertaining. It's like that's his thing. Everybody got their little thing, and that became his. And I don't even know how that came about. We need to look into that.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
Right? And it's like it's just amazing. But I have an interesting tidbit for one of the films that we're going to talk about of his tonight, because it was interesting. It was written for someone else, and they didn't. The studio turned it down. So it's like, wow, it's funny how when you research stuff, right? It's like you find out little tidbits and everything. But how has it been for you, man, as we looked over our storied coverage of Chuck Norris? Because as I look back, I told you I got my extra screens up here now. As I look back on what we've done thus far, we've drawn some audience to these shows talking about Chuck. So there's somebody out there enjoying this, even if they're not catching it when it's live, they're still coming back and checking us out.
Well, this is what we do. We pay homage, man. And Chuck Norris is an intricate part of my childhood. He was an equal opportunity ass kicker.
Yes.
On the screen. Anybody and everybody could get it. And this guy was Hollywood. Now, I was a young black kid growing up in New York. It was straight action movies, kung fu movies, stuff blowing up. You know what I mean? I was a boy, man. This is what we liked. G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, all of this stuff. And live action, Chuck Norris sticks out, man. Chuck Norris, very major part of my childhood growing up, man. If I met him, I'd geek out right now, man. For real.
Just looking over the stats, Drew, the first show, The Karate Man, had 952 views, almost 1,000. And that was 2 weeks ago. And, Nerds on Culture is still trying to catch on. We've been doing these shows, and our audience has been growing bit by bit. But the interesting thing is we cover so much. It's not like we're in one little box. So the more people check us out, they find that out, and our discussions will broaden and as the material, because you have to have a starting point, And, with Chuck, I think that was like a very tight subject to hit. Now, the second show is sitting at a nice 297 views. Okay, that's almost 300. And then we've got tonight's show that we're doing live right now. So it's very interesting that the man, what we say, he's 82 years old.
Yeah.
And he's got a following, man, a cult following. And that's why we're here to talk about him.
Dating back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Dating back to the 70s.
Man, it's amazing, isn't it? And I'm glad that I'm old enough, and you are too. We're just within that age range of being able to enjoy him at his peak of fame, as well as when things were starting to taper off. It's like, at least he didn't have a fall off like and I hate to say it this way, but like a Seagal or something. You know what I mean? He didn't have that. But I think part of that was simply because he was truly the karate man. You know what I mean? And a lot was based in that. Now, of course, with his fame came stuff like his personal political views and things like that got out there. But once you've established who you really are and everything, people will be like, well, that's just part of it. You know, I just want to watch his movies, or I just, so it's like, it's not like when you try to do that and do everything at the same time and wear so many hats where people will just turn off from you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when you got folks like myself and then maybe like yourself as well, we could always, you get a little tired of Chuck, you put on Way of the Dragon and watch Bruce Lee kick his butt a little bit. It's like, okay, I'm cool, you know. But and I had said I was gonna bring Slaughter in San Francisco in here, but I didn't do it. But I might slip it in as a cameo in something in the future, just so we can have a great laugh or whatever. But any of your thoughts on Chuck Norris, the Lawman, you know, as we're covering tonight, when he started doing films about, you know, being a cop or whatever?
Wasn't he a cop? Now, refresh my memory. I haven't seen it in a while. Wasn't he a cop in Hero and the Terror?
Yes.
Was he a cop? He was a cop.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All the films that we're focusing on this evening, and we've got 4 that were highlights of his career as a lawman. Now, the interesting thing, we covered Eye for an Eye already, but that was more martial arts based. And even though he was playing a cop in that film, but he kind of moved away from that. And it's interesting because, listen, what we're going to cover for this evening, and as soon as I put these up, I know you're gonna have a response to them. But the first one we'll talk about is Silent Rage.
Wow,
man, this film right here, when I saw it in the theater,
man, I haven't seen this in so long.
And you know, I got it on Blu-ray, man. It's still a great film. It holds up, man, as one of the most interesting combinations of, you know, Chuck Norris is a karate man, but he plays a sheriff in this little small town here.
Right.
And the film has a hint of Halloween.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Michael Myers. And it is such a great little film, man. Your thoughts on this as we begin to, you know, get down into things?
I haven't watched this in so long, but you know what I do remember? This was one of the films. Also, here, because you gotta understand, Hero and the Terror, I saw that in the movies. I was kind of young, kind of scared me. I was a kid. And I think this was the other one. This was the other one.
Yeah, but this was first. It was released in 1982. And
I was 7, yes.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this, released by Columbia Pictures, so it had a pretty nice distribution. It made $10.5 million at the box office, but it's a film that stars Chuck as a sheriff who must stop a mentally ill man who goes on a rampage after being granted near indestructibility in a medical experiment.
Yeah.
The funny thing about this film was the guy who played the mentally ill guy was Brian Libby, who had been a stunt man on a couple of other Chuck Norris films. And it's interesting that he was given the lead role in this film, and he did very well playing the mentally deranged guy that would not die. And as the plot reads, it says that in a small Texas town, John Kirby, a mentally ill man, kills 2 members of his family with whom he was staying. Sheriff Daniel Dan Stevens, Chuck Norris, and his deputy Charlie respond and eventually arrest John, but he breaks out of the handcuffs, overpowers the other officer, grabs a shotgun, forcing the officers to shoot him down. Now, he was severely injured and near death, and he was transported to an institute where his psychiatrist, who works along with another doctor, they decide, and two geneticists, and they decide to save him by treating him with a formula that was created by his psychiatrist. And they give him this serum, and they find out that it really didn't work on him. So he passed away, and they were going to get his body ready for the morgue. But while they were in a place of putting paperwork together and everything, dude's life vitals came back. So the serum actually worked. And then they did stuff like test his body. Like they took a scalpel and they cut his flesh, and it sealed itself right back up. He was like Wolverine.
It's like Wolverine, yeah.
You know,
like Logan. Chuck Norris fought Logan.
Exactly, man. It was like way before we got Wolverine on the screen. It's like, man, but it all went. It was crazy. And you know what? I gotta say this, which you will not hear said about Chuck Norris and some of the other American cinematic martial movie stars. His acting in this movie was pretty good, because when he was like up against that guy, and he saw that he couldn't hurt him and stuff like that, he literally had some resolute of fear in his expression and stuff. Chuck Norris did. He was able to emote that, because it's like, you can't hurt the guy and you can't kill him. What do you do?
How do you do it?
Exactly. And man, the film really took off from that point, and it became an iconic. I remember sitting in the theater when I saw it on its initial run, and how the film ended. And we won't reveal that. We won't spoil that for you, because if you haven't seen this movie, you really need to watch it, because this is one of the top Chuck Norris films. I will put it up there with anything that you might find a favorite of his. But the way this film ended, it was like, there's got to be a part 2. There's got to be a part 2. And it's like, they never capitalized on that, Drew. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
Well,
in an industry that is always looking to make a quick buck off of something that was even minutely successful, they didn't do that.
Well, do you remember how Hero and the Terror ended?
You know what? Now, that one I haven't watched in a while, and I don't really remember the ending of it.
It's the same thing. It's like, they got to be a part 2. What the hell? They didn't do it.
I don't know. Maybe Chuck wasn't interested in doing sequels or something, and maybe he shot those down if they came to him. But I will tell you that this movie right here, man, and you actually felt for the characters. Like, he had that deputy that was a partner of his, Charlie. He was kind of a fat guy, and he was easygoing and fun loving. He was the kind of guy that he'll sit up in the mirror and practice pulling his gun out and stuff. He was like, that kind of guy. Yeah. And he was really, he was a even-handedly nice guy in the film. And, when some things are going down and Chuck has to try to save people, it's like you got attached to the characters in this film. Even Brian Libby playing the mentally challenged guy, you kind of felt for him too, because it's like they turned him into a monster. He didn't want to be that. Remember, he made a phone call to his psychiatrist before he snapped in that house. And he was like, man, I don't know if I can make it. And the doctor was telling him, you're okay. And he snapped. But it's like, again, when you talk about mental health, and we hear that a lot nowadays, don't we?
Yeah.
It's like, it's nothing to sneeze at, it's nothing to make fun of, but there are instances, and this film, remember, made in 1982. So what is that, like 30 years ago?
30 years ago.
Dude, it's a great example of take note when someone has issues.
Mm-hmm.
Take note. But like I said, this is a very good film. If you like horror films like Halloween, we use that as an example. It's great. If you like shoot 'em ups, where it's the cop, the lone town gunman or whatever, this is it. If you like a little action with Chuck Norris do his thing, a few punches, barroom brawl type situation, kicks and stuff like that,
Yep.
This is right up the alley. And again, it's a great time at the movies or at home on the evening when you haven't watched something.
Popcorn ready and just sit through it, man. This is a great film.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I got the trailer here that I like to share so we could take a look and enjoy the classic Chuck Norris film, Silent Rage.
Columbia Pictures presents Chuck Norris.
Hot damn fighters! You call the police?
Not me, boss.
Nobody call the police. You must be a mirage.
The master fighter of our time. But not even he could imagine the power of the indestructible man he is about to face. A creation of science whose only thought is to survive.
Thank you, senor.
The unstoppable terror of Silent Rage. Now, Chuck Norris must destroy him.
Dan, watch out!
In a final battle to the death and beyond. Silent Rage.
Man, this film played like like a horror film, and you saw Chuck wailing on that dude. And
Yeah.
that dude would go down and get right back up.
And you know what's unique? You know what's unique about that trailer? They let you know what kind of guy Chuck Norris's character was. He beat up a whole biker gang in a bar. Why would someone be trying to drive a motorcycle in a bar? I don't know. But he kicked all their ass. There was about 5 of them or more. And he kicked their ass, let you know that the sheriff was in town and he wasn't to be messed with. And here comes this guy who's a lunatic, brought back to life, and you just can't kill him. And that was the horror aspect. And for those of you that haven't seen it, just watch it, because the ending, you're going to be like, I don't know about this one. I don't know if he's gone yet. You know what I mean? And you're right. I'm surprised they didn't capitalize on that. Surprised.
Man, and the way that Brian Libby played the mental patient after being given that serum, he didn't really talk anymore or anything after that. He was just like a zombie almost, but he was very intelligent. It was like it made him, his sensories or something were enhanced, because like, remember how when he would be after people, he wouldn't just like come after you like Michael Myers. He'd like hide in the shadows.
He was systematic with it.
He was like the guy, the psychiatrist, when he caught him at home, he was like, dude, like hid in the closet or something, and the girl was like, she thought she was safe from him or whatever, and he just waited on her And when she finally thought, like, after she waited for a long period of time, she came out, dude grabbed her. I ain't even gonna say what else happened. But
Similar
like,
to remember
dude,
we spoke about Frankenstein, how he
yeah.
was not so dumb. He was lurking, like, yep, I'm about to get him now. Oh man, that's hilarious.
Man, great movie, man. I love
Yeah.
Silent Rage.
I
And
recommend it.
you know, some of his films, when it didn't have enough action for me, I would downgrade them. You know, I'm like, man, he should have, you know, had a couple more fight scenes or something. But this was one I didn't miss that, because that crazy guy, boy, he more than made up for some stuff in there, man. I'm telling you, I enjoyed that. It was really off the chain. Any of your final thoughts on it?
Oh man, that was one of the films that scared me. I was 7 years old, and where I thought I was just going to be saying, I thought, oh, Chuck Norris, it's going to be karate, pow, pow, pow. And it was actually a story in detail, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this guy can't die? How do you win? And that scene where he was fighting him in the dark, gotta understand, that was the horror. I'm used to seeing fights in the daytime. Because, yeah, I remember around that time, Shaw Brothers films used to come on television out here on Fox. So I'm used to seeing all the fight scenes in the daytime. Chuck Norris on the silver screen fighting this guy that can't die in the dark. And we already have as kids, a lot of us have a preconceived notion about, you know, darkness, scary, evil. You know what I mean? And to see that Chuck actually having a hard way to go with this guy, I'm like, oh, that kind of scared me as a child, man. And so this is a must see. If you love Chuck Norris, you must see this film.
And they explained the serum that he was given, because it was supposed to be something that repairs you genetically. So understand, like, when he took gunshots, he'd heal up in a matter of minutes. You know, it wasn't like seconds, like Wolverine heals literally in seconds, but he need like 4 or 5 minutes and he good. Yep. So it's like they shoot him 3-4 times, he down, and they like, thank God we got him. And they go get ready to light a cigarette or something. He
pop back up.
Man. So there was a little method to it. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, come on. You know, they did have science involved in that. They didn't just make him some slasher.
Yeah, right.
Didn't die, you know, that kind of thing. So even though the science of that was kind of like a little hokey, but hey, man, we've seen cocaine and PEDs do wonders for people when they put them in their system. And, you know, remember Scarface, the third act, where he took on all those guys that came for him and everything, and he was so coked out. He was so coked out. If you cut him, he probably wasn't gonna bleed. He probably powder come out. You know, that's how much he had in his system. But yeah, you know,
man, great film. We recommend it. 5 out of 5.
I could see some people in the chat. You know, I see a few flames out there. We got Tay out there. She's showing flames with the eyes. Side eye. She said, I gotta see that.
Oh, you never saw that, Tay?
Man, you will enjoy it. I'm telling you. Yeah, Champion Heart. Brian Libby was in the octagon. He was one of the stuntmen in there. Yeah.
Yep.
And he was on the circuit back then. But man, yeah, that movie just brings back memories, bro. It brings back memories big time. So yeah, let's move on to the next one, man. And this one here is a classic for a number of reasons, but I remember when they shot it here in Chicago. Code of Silence, man. This film right here, Chuck Norris played another sergeant in this film. And it was shot in Chicago, and Dennis Farina, who became a renowned actor in the films. A lot of cop dramas and mob films and stuff. He was actually a Chicago police officer when they were making this film, and
Wow.
he got a role in the film, and he went on to become a full-time actor because he was pretty darn good.
Mm.
And he played in this film. Chuck Norris was in there, Henry Silva, and a couple of other character actors that people would recognize. This film was made in 1985, and certain locations around town, I remember, streets being closed and everything because they were filming Chuck Norris movie. And it's like, code of silence. Back then, they weren't giving you fake names for movies. Remember, like now, like if they're shooting a movie in a major city or something, they'll give you a fake name. They don't want you to know what it is and who's starring in it and all of that foolishness. But back then, they were like, yeah, Chuck Norris is filming a movie up the street. It's like, it's like code of silence. That's the name. Watch for it. That's how it used to be. And back then, they made a lot of films in Chicago at the time. Like I remember The Untouchables was shot similarly around that time. And this film was, again, one of those, it's like cop dramas. And it says that it was an atypical film for Norris, whose previous ones had been known for more of his martial arts skill.
Right.
This was more of a crime drama, and it was filmed on location in Chicago with a few subplots. And it features him as Sergeant Eddie Cusack, a streetwise plainclothes officer who takes down a crime czar responsible for officers being wounded in a botched drug raid. Code of Silence had more of Norris, running around with a gun and everything more than his typical martial action. But he was also a there were like a lot of stunts. Like I remember a guy going through a plate glass window in an apartment building and falling to the streets, and stuff like that. It was like certain things shot in films. Like you remember Burt Reynolds, right?
Absolutely.
And Burt Reynolds made a film here in Chicago in the late 70s called Sharky's Machine.
Sharky's Machine. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that film had a great scene where a car crashed through a parking lot at the Marina Towers, which is called Marina City down here in Chicago, downtown Chicago. It's near Michigan Avenue, which is like the Magnificent Mile here. But there was a scene where the car went out of that parking lot into the Chicago River. At that time, it was a huge stunt. Mm-hmm. And it was a famous scene in the film. So it's like, certain things, when certain films are shot here in Chicago, you remember certain things. Like when you heard me mention The Untouchables.
Yes.
Well, there's a great scene in there where Elliot Ness, played by Kevin Costner, is chased that killer on the roof of a building. And he was like, yeah, your friend squealed like a pig before I killed him or whatever. And
he went flying.
And he was like, what did you say? And he was like, your friend, he squealed like a pig when I killed him. And Elliot Ness took that dude and grabbed him and ran him off the roof of that building.
Yep.
Now, the interesting thing was this. That building that he threw the guy off of, I worked in that building in the physical plant. That's Roosevelt University, right downtown. And I used to work back in 85. I worked at the physical plant there. We painted and redecorated and stuff like that. I had a job doing that there. And they were filming The Untouchables there. They filmed 3 scenes there. That rooftop scene, a scene where Elliot Ness runs up on Scarface.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Forgive me. Scarface.
Oh, John.
I know it was Robert De Niro, but I'm trying to think of his real name. Al Capone.
Al Capone, yeah.
Yeah, it was like in the Herman Crown Center on the Michigan Avenue side, where he runs in and the photographers are in there and everything. And he was like, "You never stop fighting until the fight is over." And
Yeah.
and Al Capone is telling him, "You want to go right now? You want to go right now?"
Yeah.
And it's like, that's right in the lobby, man. It's like, I walk through that lobby every day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so all those scenes were shot there, and then there was a couple of scenes shot on Wabash, which is the next block over west of Michigan Avenue. And the interesting thing, and I'm sorry I got off of Chuck for a minute, but I'm just sharing some movie cinematic history, because you learn things when you see films being shot.
Yeah.
They had cars, like old cars from the 40s and 50s, you know, on the street. But check this out, Drew. They had, in chat, the cars were painted two colors. On one side, the car is like white. On the other side is brown or black. So I was like,
why
do
they do that?
Cars park like that? Now check this out. It's very simple. I asked one of the second hands on the production. I said, "Hey man, what are they doing with these cars that are multicolored like that?" He's like, "Listen, to save production costs, those cars are meant to be in the background. So a driver can drive it down the street one way, turn around and come back and go the other way, and it looked like a different car, just a different color." You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they would have like a couple of different models, and then they will paint it straight down the middle. You know, one side is one color, one side the other color. And that's what they would do. I was like, wow, movie magic.
Movie magic.
Yeah. Never knew that. Never knew that at all. And it was crazy. Like, man, you know, so, you know, you learn something. But yeah, let me go ahead and play this trailer here for Silent Rage. I mean, Code of Silence.
Code of Silence.
Yeah, here we go.
Code of Silence. Chuck Norris lays down the law as the toughest cop in Chicago in his most dramatic film.
I don't know what happened to it.
I hear it.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can.
Real old school salute.
Let's see. I'm going to pull
StreamYard acting crazy.
Yeah, it's funny how they do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Had everything ready. Let's see here. Do it here.
Code of Silence. Chuck Norris lays down the law as
Damn,
the toughest
still can't see it.
Still not doing
in his most dramatic film yet.
Maybe remove it and bring it back in.
Yeah, hold on.
I see the thing spinning. It's not. Is it playing on your end in the window?
No, it's not. I'm going to take it out.
Yeah.
And put it back in. That was interesting, though.
In other news, I sent you in the private chat. There's a link there.
Yeah, I see the link. What's the link for there?
That is a independent video game that some developers made a couple of years ago, and it's called what is it? Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, and all the characters are movie greats that we, you know, martial arts greats that we came up watching.
Okay. Code of Silence.
Still nothing.
Chuck Norris.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing anything.
In his most.
Let me see. Let me see if I can grab it.
Yeah, see if you can grab it and put it up there.
Code of Silence trailer. Okay. Okay. Now let's try that. Let's see. You see it?
Yeah, I see it. Let me see if I can add it in.
Yeah, there you go. So now I'll play it.
Go ahead.
Code of Silence. Chuck Norris lays down the law as the toughest cop in Chicago in his most dramatic film yet.
Yeah, it's Chicago, all right.
Eddie Cusack is a good cop. Having a bad day.
Promise you blood for blood.
With a murder to solve.
I want this guy Cusack. I want to know what he is, what he's doing, where he lives. I want it.
Squad, this is 1462. I need backup.
Hey, you don't want to be in here.
What's your opinion? I'll beat it out.
That was Bob Wall who told that.
Take him apart.
He's saving the world.
An innocent girl to protect.
Give it up.
Yeah. Nobody would jump into the river like that.
There's a
Nope.
one-man army now.
Chuck Norris. Code of Silence. The toughest cop in the world just got tougher. Chuck Norris. Code of Silence.
That is awesome.
Yeah, man. And as I said earlier, that some of the action sequences, like you see them diving into the Chicago River and stuff like that. Now, the interesting thing was, like, you saw them on the L train, on the roof of the L train cars. Now, they put those running planks up there for them to stand on, because those cars don't have that on top of them. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's all movie magic too, because you get up on there, you slip off that thing, and
It's over with.
You're gone.
Yeah.
They put those planks up there so they'll have something to actually walk on, and the train wasn't really going that fast. When it's because
Real quick shower. It was on that game was released independently on the PC. Before we get out of here, I'll because I have it queued up. I'll show y'all before we get out of here. Awesome video game. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, man, the Code of Silence was one of, and again, this was more of Chuck running around with the gun, busting bad guys up and everything. But I love that line. I actually thought it was in Lone Wolf McQuade, because he's had so many of those bar scenes. That seems like a typical thing in the Chuck Norris film too, a bar scene where he got to go in there and beat up some dudes in a bar, right? So when he came in there, and the guy was like, "You don't belong in here," and he said, "When I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you." That was Bob Wall. He was
Bob Wall, tough guy.
Yeah, man. So Bob Wall and Chuck Norris, they go back to the 60s, where they were friends for a very, very long time. So
Yeah.
But yeah, these two iconic American martial artists. But yeah, Code of Silence, man. I actually have that in my film collection as well. It's a film that I enjoy to watch you when you want to, because every once in a while I like to put on some Death Wish, with Charles Bronson, or Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood, or Chuck Norris film like this. I like to watch those films from time to time because they're a little bit hokey, but at the same time, it's like, the French Connection and stuff
Right,
like
right,
that.
right.
I love those films, man. I just,
Mhm.
if you're a movie buff, you can enjoy a film for what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Absolutely.
one thing I take a lot of stock in when I'm viewing movies. What about you?
Like I said, man, these are iconic films, iconic actors. You know how things leave an impact on you when you remember exactly where you were when you seen certain things, or certain smells, like certain food smells. Like, it's like, I remember where I was when I watched this.
Mhm.
I saw Code of Silence. I might have saw it twice in my life, and I remember when I was at my aunt's house, and me and my brother used to, the old VHS tapes, and we watched. We seen everything. We seen everything, and I remember 1 a.m. That was late when you're a child. 1 a.m, and you had some stove pop because we didn't have a microwave back then. And you remember the tinfoil, and you eat the popcorn, and you have your little Kool-Aid in there, man. And there was nothing better than watching a high action film, and you could not go wrong with a Chuck Norris film. You could not go wrong, man. And Code of Silence had a lot of gunplay. It wasn't that much martial arts. It was a lot of gunplay. But anything when Chuck pulls that hammer out and he starts blasting, man, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
That's what, when he was in The Expendables, the third one, that's all we needed. He was in the film for no more than 10 minutes. And they came in. What was his name in that movie? Lone Wolf?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He came on, he was like,
yeah.
He was just blowing shit up. I said, that's what I'm talking about. Get to it. Man, that the movie with the trilogy was complete once they got Chuck Norris. It was complete.
Yeah,
it was complete.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And kudos for Stallone doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
man. He
man.
brought all the old hams out,
Had to, man.
They were able to do their thing, That was great for him to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's move right along to the one that you talked about, man. The Hero of Terror, man. Now this one right here, the interesting thing about this film, and as I looked at my wiki notes on it, it says that this film was Chuck Norris's first major attempt at diversifying from his traditional martial art roles, believe it or not. The film was released in January of '89. And they say that the success of the film is contingent on how reviewers, the media, and audiences take to it. That determines everything in this business, Chuck Norris said. I like the character that I played of Danny O'Brien, and I like the relationships I had in the film, especially with Kay, played by Bryn Taylor. I like seeing not just the man in the arena or the fighting machine you see in many of my films, but to see the man outside the arena, the guy who also has relationships. I don't want people to think I'm just going to kick butt. There's a lot more here. What makes this a different film is the vulnerability of the character I play. There are moments of humor, romance, and compassion, and there are moments of terror, anguish, and anxiety. A scene was filmed as a joke where Norris hyperventilates in the hospital and faints seeing a baby being born. The director, William Tannen, convinced Norris to test the film with the segment intact. We did leave it in, and women absolutely love that scene, he says.
Wow.
Yeah, so again, this film brought in about $5 million at the box office. And for these kind of films at that time, that's a lot of money, man.
It is.
It doesn't take a lot. you know, to make
Right.
these films were made on budgets of like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's like to bring in, you know, 5 million, you know, it probably had $1 million, you know, or just under $1 million budget.
And that's absolutely fine because again, with these type of movies, you're not expecting Academy Award. It is what it is.
Mhm.
And to make that kind of scratch, and this came out what, 89?
Yes, 89.
I thought it was
January.
earlier than that, actually. But hey, it's 89. Yeah. To make 5 million off of I wouldn't know what the budget was, but even if the budget was $1 million, to make 5, you've met the quota. You've exceeded your quota. So yeah.
Absolutely. So let's see if I can get this trailer to play for Hero and the Terror. Let's see what we can do here.
Beneath the surface, behind hidden corners, beyond the law, the city is a battlefield in a secret war. And the toughest, most ruthless, most dangerous killer on the street is on our side.
Not afraid to die, are you?
You can do it without any anger. Allah protects us.
Then this shouldn't hurt.
That's what I like about you, Grogan. Not afraid to tell me what you think.
Drop dead.
Now you're the luckiest son of a...
Welcome to my world.
Chuck Norris is
Yeah, dog it. I played the wrong trailer, man. I apologize.
No, I was looking. I said, man, this ain't Hero and the Terror, but I knew what this was.
Oh man,
I knew what this was.
I apologize for that.
I remember that was
screwed up, man. But that was the Hitman, which was supposed to be the last movie
that's okay.
that we talk about.
We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, and man, that sucked. But anyway, then I do that like that. But hey, you know, we turn lemons into lemonade around here. Let me get
good.
back to can we?
This is it.
Yeah, I apologize though.
3 years ago, Dan O'Brien met a cop's worst enemy. Fear.
She's beautiful.
He thought the past was behind him. He thought he could still be a good cop. He thought the terror was dead.
Something's wrong. What is it?
The nightmare's back.
There's nothing wrong with being afraid, O'Brien. You came up against a monster.
3 years ago, Simon Moon slaughtered 22 women, but 12 more were killed by copycats.
The MO on this girl is exactly the same as Simon Moon's.
Simon Moon is supposed to be dead, Sal.
Nothing so evil could die so easily.
Danny, is Simon Moon alive?
Hero, is the terror back?
I wish they'd stop that hero crap.
Why are you letting it bother you so much?
Because it's making me out to be something I'm not.
You said he was dead.
I said supposed to be dead. There's no doubt in my mind. It has to be Simon Moon. He's there.
Chuck Norris. The hero is human. The terror is real. Hero and the Terror.
Whew.
Now, what's interesting about that story is even though the criminal was, you know, doing some different things in this film in a different setting, this was the perfect opportunity to bring back as Silent Rage Part 2.
That's right.
You know what I mean? If you're going to go there. And he
Right.
pretty much went there. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like that's a missed opportunity, a tremendously missed opportunity.
That was also a really great film. That was a really great film, man. That Simon Moon was a serial murderer. He was running around murdering women, and as you heard, I believe that was a sergeant or whatever. There was also copycats running around the city. They thought this guy was dead. He breaks out of prison, and only Chuck could stop him, and they nicknamed him the Hero.
Right.
You know, but
Now, Champion Hart was asking in the chat there if he could come in and tell his Chuck Norris story. We don't typically bring people onto the platform for that. That's not the kind of show we have here. But maybe we'll make a provision at a time to do something like that. But we're not really engaging in that at this particular time, Champion Heart. No disrespect to you, but it's just the way that we, Drew and I are formulating, how we're doing the show. Our show is still in its genesis. And we have to iron certain things out and everything. But at the same time, there are some other things happening out here in the community that we have an eye toward. And it's like we do have intent of running much tighter ship going forward. And if you guys caught Drew's show this morning, you'll understand what I mean when I say that. Because
but salute to you, Champion Heart. Though we'd like to hear it. So this show is still in its infancy.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that story's dope. But right now we're just trying to grow things. I'm sure soon down the line, once it's grown a little more, we'll have people chime in with stories, man. I'd like to hear it as a matter of fact. But I appreciate that though.
Absolutely,
we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. And forgive me for jumping the gun with the Hitman. I don't know why I did that, but it's interesting because I did remember at the top of the show, I was talking about I wanted to share something about Chuck Norris film. Now, this film was directed by his brother, Aaron Norris. And I'm trying to see if I could get back to. There was a tidbit about this. Let's see. Just trying to look up some information that I had here.
I think Chuck wore a weave in that. But the coolest thing about this was that shotgun he had, man. That was so dope.
Yeah.
That shotgun was awesome.
Okay. Well, once again, and it serves purpose because we just finished talking about Code of Silence, right? And that tidbit that I had to share was, and let me take this down for when I played the wrong trailer and I played Hero and the for wanting to play Hero and the Terror, I played the Hitman trailer. But getting back to Code of Silence for a moment, shot in Chicago. It was originally supposed to be shot in San Francisco, and the script was written as Dirty Harry 4 Code of Silence. Yes, sir. Dirty Harry 4 Code of Silence. It was written in July of '79 for Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers turned it down. And when it wasn't made there, the script was briefly in the possession of a Canadian producer who was looking to make it in 1980. But it was canceled due to making sudden impact in 1983. So by May 10th of 1983, Orion Pictures planned that the film would be released in May of 1985. And originally, Chris Christopherson was the studio's first choice to play the Sergeant Eddie Cusack, but the role eventually went to Chuck Norris after Chris Christopherson turned it down. So again, forgive me for getting things a little, jumbled up there, but that's what I wanted to share. The film was written as a Dirty Harry film.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's news.
Exactly.
That's huge, man.
That's very huge. That's why I wanted to share it because, you know, and I think what threw me off is when the trailer wouldn't play, you know, and that kind of got to me a little bit, but I apologize for my mix-ups on that. But that's what I wanted to share about that information, because Code of Silence was supposed to be the 4th Dirty Harry film. And, you know, Sudden Impact ended up being the 4th Dirty Harry film when it eventually was released. You know, that's the famous one for go ahead, make my day. So,
wow.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but we'll go right back. If you guys don't mind, I can run that Hitman
right back.
Time. Now, let me make sure I'm running back the right one for Hitman. You let me know, Drew. Is this Hitman? Okay.
Beneath the surface, behind hidden corners, beyond the law, the city is a battlefield in a secret war. And the toughest, most ruthless, most dangerous killer on the street is on our side.
I'm not afraid to die. Are you? You can do it without any anger. Allah protects us.
Then this shouldn't hurt.
That's what I like about you, Grogan. Not afraid to tell me what you think. Drop dead.
Now you're the luckiest son of a...
Welcome to my world.
Chuck Norris is the Hitman.
I think Chuck like playing them roles with them damn guns in his hands.
He loves it, man.
And I don't think he ever wanted to be a cowboy, but I think he liked being them guys in city clothes, you know, be like blowing folks away. He just like it, man. It's just hilarious watching this guy do these things, man.
Man, he loves, dude, that man loves his work, man. But you're right. I think those are his favorite roles right there. You know, just playing the regular guys, man. You know, those are his favorite roles, man. And he did it very well. He did it very, very well. Man, Chuck is that dude.
Yeah, man. And he did, like I said, his brother was the director of the film. It was originally supposed to be directed by a gentleman by the name of Charles Martin Smith. It was originally titled 50-50. And it was released in October of 1991. It brought in $4,650,000. So again, his movies were always right there, you know, drawing in the similar box office. So basically with Chuck, you knew what you were gonna get, you know. And it's a funny thing because he played a Seattle cop who's severely wounded in a drug bust gone bad and shot by his corrupt partner, played by Michael Parks. It says that he dies momentarily in the emergency room, but is revived with a defibrillator. And from that, his supervisor, helped conceal his survival, and he was given a new identity. So he goes on and becomes a hitman, and that's the nature of the story and how it picks up from there. But another vengeance type film, but Chuck Norris, when he plays these kind of roles, there's just a certain element that you expect, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's who he was, man. And it's just interesting. And like, I don't have this one in my collection. It was around this time that I was kind of like, I wasn't really following his films too much anymore. And shortly after that, he got on television and he was doing Walker, Texas Ranger. And even when he did make films, he was making stuff like Sidekicks and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't really interested in that type of fare, but he basically would play a detective from time to time after that, or some kind of sergeant or something like that. But these films that we discussed on this evening show was his, that was his genesis as a cop action hero in the vein of Charles Bronson or Clint Eastwood or whatever like that. So, and I think that he was successful in these kind of films because he could do some martial arts, meaning that there was a certain amount of punching and kicking that he did that you knew it was authentic because he was a karate man, whereas Clint Eastwood, he might throw a punch here or there, but
he's a tough guy.
Clint would just, go pull out that 45, as Bruce would say in Enter the Dragon, and bang, settle it,
Bang. That was the realest line in Enter the Dragon. He said, right? Guns. Why don't we just go in there with 45 and bang, settle it? I was like, there it is. But there wouldn't be a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, and when the guy told him, no, guns are not allowed on the island, Bruce was like, damn.
Man, that was great, man. We should cover Clint Eastwood too.
Oh, definitely. We could start with the spaghetti westerns because, hey, man, listen, let me ask you. We'll get to it when we do a show. Matter of fact, let's do it next. Clint Eastwood,
that's what's up.
Spaghetti westerns. But what would you say is your favorite Clint spaghetti western? Because he made other westerns later, but your favorite spaghetti western by him, because there was a trilogy now: The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
That's my one. That's my favorite one.
A Fistful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More.
Wait. I think it was A Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
I think it was A Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah, I like Fistful of Dollars too, because I think that's the one where he went into the town and there was two different gangs. And
yes,
that's
the one.
Let both gangs hire him, right?
That's the one. That's the one. Fistful of Dollars. I'm gonna go watch that. I'm definitely gonna go watch that.
He told that that man that made the coffins, he was like, get 2 coffins ready. He went down the street, and them guys was talking crap and everything. He was like, talking about his mule, remember?
Yeah.
He's like, I know you guys was just funning, but my mule, he just don't get it. Now, if you apologize like I know you're going to, and he looked at him and was like, what? And the dude spit.
Man.
Clint looked at him, split, and he threw that poncho back. Man, he lit them guys up. And then he walked back past the coffin man and said, I'm sorry, 5 coffins.
5 coffins. Man, Clint, tough guys, man. Man, there's so many, There's so many Hollywood tough guys we can cover, man. There's so much things we got to cover, man. So much things. Before I forget, let me share my screen.
Yes.
I wanted to show you. I found this video game by accident, but what makes this special, well, you'll see. Now, who do you think that is on your screen?
Hold on a second. Let me trying to pull this down.
What's that look like?
That's supposed to be probably Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan.
Yep.
No.
Round one. Fight.
These are independent developers. They had no deal. They just did this game. I said, whoa, look at this. This for the PC. I wanted to get it. I said, man, this is great.
Yeah,
they actually got real sounds from these movies. You see this? But the interesting thing is, look at that. Who's that?
Gordon Liu.
Yep. That's Sho Kazugi right there.
Round
and Gordon Liu.
One. Fight.
This is just awesome.
Oh, man.
Kicking his ass. Look at this. Jet Li. And who's that? The lady.
I can't see her.
Round one.
That's what's her name? Oh man. She got the restaurant in Jersey.
Oh no, Angela Mao.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we can't see her face, you know.
Now look at that.
Oh, man,
Listen.
Venoms, man.
Yep. Monkey.
Round one.
That's a dude from Monkey Kung Fu.
Yeah.
First hit.
Oh man, this is so dope. You see how good you are. Look who he's fighting.
Chuck Norris and
yeah.
Round one.
Tang So Do. That's the style.
First hit.
And they got Chuck fighting just like Chuck fight too.
Wonderful.
He's kicking his ass.
Wins.
Look at that.
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen.
That looks like
round one.
What's her name? The Japanese girl.
First hit.
Sister
I know who
Street
you're talking
Fighter.
about.
Yeah, Sister Street Fighter.
Yes.
Wonderful.
He's fighting like
Yep, man.
yeah.
Wing Chun.
Fuck was that? Look at that. Look who that is.
And Tony Jaa.
Tony Jaa.
Fight. First hit.
Oh, he making Jim Kelly sounds too.
Oh man, this is awesome.
Suddenly, I like to do your eyes. Oh no, Sonny Chiba, bro!
Van Damme.
Oh man!
Round one. Fight. First.
Sonny Chiba. Did the split.
Did the split.
Who else is there? Who's that?
Bolo and Lole.
Lole, yep. Oh my God, Tiger Style.
Round one, fight.
This looks like something I can play all night just on some fun shit. This is just crazy. You know, some real fans made this game. Yeah, I just had to show you that. I had to show you that.
That is cold-blooded, bro.
Yeah, man. That's it. Those are some developers from what I read. Those are just some developers. They don't have like a real deal, but those are fans, and they just do everybody in one game, and it doesn't have a license, so you have to like download it, and it looks fun. Looks very simple to play, but it looks fun, man. It looks very, very fun. And this is the second one they made. This is part 2. And the intro of the video game itself, it has Shaw Brothers music in it.
Okay.
Yep. You remember how the intro is boom, boom, boom. It starts like that. I was like, what is this shit? This shit, man. This is awesome, man. The name of the game, Shawa, is Shaolin versus Wu-Tang.
Wow. Wow.
That's an awesome
nice,
game.
Man.
Yeah. Those are some fans, man. I really wish I had some input on this, man. But they nailed a lot of the stuff, though. You know the move that what's his name does in the movie when he's playing Ip Man, when he does all those punches.
Yeah,
that's in the game. He grabbed the dude. It was like, bah, 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 bah. I was like, oh shit, they put that in the game. That shit was incredible. Incredible. But
that's amazing, man.
That's a little nerd thing right there.
Yeah. See, that's the kind of game I get that. I'll be on that damn thing for hours. Watching me talking about, I want a divorce. It's like me playing that game for hours, bro.
For hours, man. Hours, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I copied that link down, so I'll be able to, check that out. Look into it. Somebody said it's on Xbox.
It's on Xbox. You're probably able to down
Xbox One.
It's on. He said it's on the PS4. Jamal said it's on the PS4 too. Oh man, that's awesome. I'm gonna look for it. Because this game just looks fun. I saw a lizard in there. I said, "What? What's happening? Sonny Chiba? What's going on here?" And they were smart not putting their names in there.
Right. That's how you know it's real fans too, because they put all of the martial art film stars in there.
Yep.
That's really nice, man. That's really nice.
Hell yeah.
Well, hey man, go ahead and give us some final thoughts, man, on the show this evening, the series of Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris is that dude. That he got 3 shows in a row. It don't get any better than that. Chuck Norris is that dude. Major player in my childhood. There was a lot of things I grew up on. Wrestling, a whole lot of boxing, y'all know that, and action movies. Chuck Norris is one of those guys, man. He had a cartoon, Stormy. We didn't cover that.
Yeah, he had a cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a cartoon. This guy was the 80s, man. Chuck Norris was one of the rulers of the 80s, man. One of the rulers. And I would love to I don't know how it would work out, but I don't know. Maybe he's on Instagram. Maybe I'll reach out to him. I don't know.
A mere months after he died, Bruce Lee was supposed to, he died in July of 1973.
Mm-hmm.
But he has some deals on the table. He was supposed to appear in August on Johnny Carson to promote Enter the Dragon. He was supposed to meet with Hanna-Barbera to do a animation cartoon that later ended up becoming Hong Kong Phooey. You remember that?
Yes.
Hong Kong Phooey, voiced by Scott Scuthers, but it was supposed to originally be Bruce Lee, and they changed it up a little bit when Bruce Lee passed away. So they made it a little more goofy or whatever, but it was supposed to be. Then he was supposed to have a line for some clothing and some books. And then in September, he was supposed to shoot his first film with Shaw Brothers.
Yeah. Damn.
And then in October, he was going to return to making Game of Death. So he had a lot of stuff lined up.
He was also talking with Sonny Chiba, right?
Yeah, he was going to do a film with Sonny Chiba. And when Sonny Chiba, because he, his good friend Unicorn Chan had been given a star role in a film. So Unicorn Chan asked him if he would do the fight choreography. And the film is called Fist of the Unicorn. And one of the guys in the film, Yosaki Kurata, who's been in a lot of films, both Japanese and Hong Kong, was a part of Sonny Chiba's stunt team. And he met Bruce Lee being the choreographer on Fist of the Unicorn, and they had a conversation about introducing Bruce to Sonny Chiba. So Sonny Chiba had come to Hong Kong to meet Bruce Lee. And on the day that his plane landed in Hong Kong, he looked at the newspapers, and the newspapers had said Bruce Lee died. And he just turned around right at the airport and got back on the plane and went back to Japan. It was no reason to talk to nobody or nothing. He was like, the man is dead. I just got off the plane. All the newspapers say he's dead. So I'm going to go back home. So just like that.
Man.
And the film that they were going to make turned out to be the film with George Lazenby and Angela Mao called Stoner.
That was supposed to be their film?
That was supposed to be their film. It was supposed to be Sonny Chiba was going to be the villain of the film, which there was a Japanese guy in that film who was the villain, but his role got really reduced. And Angela Mao's role got increased, and George Lazenby's film role got increased. So it's like, George Lazenby was supposed to be playing, a guy like, I don't even think that he was originally going to be in the film. I think it was going to be Bob Wall playing the character that George Lazenby played, and Angela Mao's character was going to be Bruce Lee. And the real villain of the film, who made those happy pills or whatever they called them, if you ever saw the film Stoner, that it was a Japanese guy, and that was supposed to be Sonny Chiba.
What we never got, and I anticipate there was going to be a lot of things had he lived. One of the things that sucked was that we never got to see him versus Bolo. We almost got it because Bruce was stepping up and Into the Dragon, and John Saxon was like, "I got this." You know what I'm saying?
Bolo was given a role in Game of Death as one of the leading karate men outside the temple when Bruce Lee and the four guys who were assisting him with the raid on the temple at the pagoda, Bolo was supposed to be like the leading karate man outside the temple. There's supposed to be like 50 karate men guarding the first floor of the temple and some outside. And Bolo was supposed to be the chief of those guys. Then on the first floor inside, it was supposed to be Wong and Sik, who was a Hapkido master who he fought in Way of the Dragon outside with him and Bob Wall.
Right.
That's Wong and Sik. He was supposed to be the man on the first floor. His student and friend Taki Kimura was supposed to be on the second floor, and he was supposed to use Wing Chun and Praying Mantis. And then Dana Santo was on the third floor, and Chi Hong Jae was on the fourth floor, and Kareem was on the fifth floor. So it was like it was all mapped out. And Carter Wong, who's always in the movies with Angela Mao and stuff, and he was supposed to play Bruce Lee's student who had made the earlier raid on the temple but failed. But it drove him mad because he had an encounter with Kareem's character and couldn't deal with him. So they had put him in an asylum. So before going to the temple, Bruce Lee was supposed to go see his student in the asylum to get some word about Kareem's character, because Kareem's character was supposed to be a genetically altered guy. We knew he was 7 foot tall.
Right.
But he wore the dark shades because he was light sensitive. That was his weakness. He was light sensitive.
He poked,
But he was supposedly genetically bred too. It's like he had a certain kind of strength about him. That's why you saw him pick up James 10 by his neck like this and threw him. He was supposed to be a superior type of person that just fought street or whatever. That's why Bruce Lee went to see a student, because he wanted to know, because they had film on all the other guys except for the guy who was on the top floor. So there was tons of the story of Game of Death that,
And I also believe that if Bruce lived, there'd have been a Chuck Norris Bruce Lee rematch.
They probably would have fought in another film together, just like Donnie Yen and Jet Li did. They were in Once Upon a Time in China 1, Part 2, and then later in Hero, which was, anytime those two martial artists came together, they were awesome. Watching these guys do what they do. So
I gotta run.
See, that's what we're nerds.
This is what nerds do,
man. This is what we do. But yeah, we're gonna get on out of here. Thank you, everybody who came out, smashed the like button, who rode with us the entire show. Champion Heart, we will get back to you on that. We will not forget. And peace to everybody out there. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Drew has the Painful Excellence coming up, so give him a couple of minutes to get set up for that. And you guys go on over there and show him some love for that show. So we're going to catch you guys on the next one. And peace to everybody. And, again, check us out on the next one. Peace.
Yes, sir.